The picture you see before you is a picture of Mariano Florentino Cuellar. He is currently a Supreme Court Justice in the state of California. Okay. Anyway, the reason I have his picture up there is as I have gotten older, I've gotten a lot more, let's call it, politically savvy. Now, with everything that's going on with the recent opening on the Supreme Court, in my opinion, and this isn't a political opinion, I believe that President Obama should appoint Mr. Cuellar to the Supreme Court within the next week. The reason I'm saying this is because since Congress is in recess, the president has the authority to appoint a Supreme Court justice without having to clear it through the Senate under advise and consent. And this is actually written within the Constitution. Now, once the Congress comes back into session, they can potentially try to fight this appointment. And if Obama didn't telegraph it and allow them to come out of recess early, they really wouldn't have a leg to stand on. But the reason that I believe that he should appoint this person, sorry about that, appoint this person is because he is a naturalized Mexican American. He was born in 1972, which makes him 43 years old. He came into the United States, into Texas, but his family later relocated into California. He is a Harvard, Yale, and Stanford alumnus. And he is a liberal. Now, Mr. Cuellar graduated magna cum laude with a bachelor's degree from Harvard in 1993, a JD from Yale Law School in 1997, and a PhD in political science from Stanford in 2000. He basically specializes in administrative law, criminal justice law, public health law, citizenship and migration law, and domestic and international security, which in these days is something that we sorely need. He also has worked in the U.S. Department of the Treasury and has experience clerking for Chief Justice of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 9th District under Mary Schroeder. This guy would be a perfect nominee in the normal course of business, but being a straight appointment, he's perfect because if the Republicans start to try to rail against this guy, they know that they will lose, absolutely lose, the Hispanic vote, because the Hispanics would undoubtedly see this as an attack against them specifically. That being said, if that particular tactic is successful, then in my opinion, the next appointee to the Supreme Court should be an African American female, and the person that comes to mind for me is Miss Harris from San Francisco. That would be Kamala Harris. She was rumored to have been one of the people that Obama was looking at instead of Kagan or Sotomayor. So I would push either Democratic candidate that wins for them to place an African American female on the court, which would be a first. Undoubtedly, the next president is going to have at least 2 appointments and possibly 3. And that does not include the current opening on the Supreme Court. So anyway, keep in mind the name Tino Cuellar. He is obviously a viable option and would serve a lot of purposes, including the motivation of the Hispanic people within the country to lean heavily Democratic, given the fact that the Republicans will try to fight this guy.